Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I can say it myself. Okay. So, welcome to this edition of Falling Walls Lab Delft 2020. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. So, I'm Andrea Riccio from I'm a chair of Falling Walls Lab Delft, and with me in helping me if it's needed to manage the streaming, there will be Roberto Pozzorubio, that is our project manager in the team. So first of all, we are in this platform called Vertly, that it's one of our sponsors that we thank a lot for it. And we are in this online location, you know well why, because these times are a bit complex. So we had to move online, but we will not stop working. So we are like our board, and we also have 6 jury members that this year and today will help us to select the best presentation, the best speech, and the winner of the Falling Walls Lab Delft 2020. So I want to welcome Rogier Verber, first, Director of Semiconductor Equipment Department at TNO, and also one of our main sponsors. Thank you very much for supporting us. So
Yeah,
then we have Esther de Ruyter, that is Vice President of the Young Academy, and she's an expert of the field of cardiology. Then we have with us Ina Dieselborn, that is the international master student responsible at TU Delft, and she's also an expert in marketing and communication. Then we have Rushab Chedda. This is our former winner of the Falling Walls Lab edition of 2019, last year, and he also won the 3rd position in the finale in Berlin among like 100 people that was competing with him. And he is working on his project with recycled plastic and affordable houses. Then we have Stefania Milan. She's an associate professor of the Department of New Media and Digital Culture at the University of Amsterdam. And Gert Hans Verguis, that is the designer and leader of Innovation Factory of Rabobank. So all these jury members like kindly agreed to participate and help us to select the best pitch of this year. And also thanks them to be here, and also thanks to our sponsor, that in this case are TNO, as I said, Vertly, and Stud, because obviously we work a lot to help students to reach their goals and to break the walls. So going on, I would like really to quick introduce our program of the event today, what will happen, and the structure of this online platform. So first of all, the timeline. Now at 3 we started, more or less, and in around 5 to 10 minutes we will have the first session of pitches. Then after 45 minutes, at 4 we will have our first break. During this break, you will be moved into networking rooms, and you will be able to chat a bit between you and the other member of the rooms with attendees, jury members, and participants. Then after 15 minutes of break, we have the next session. So the second session will have 5 more pitches. And after these 45 minutes, at 5, we will have another break. So this will create a bit of a mood into the event. After this second break, we have the last session. It's again supposed to be around 30 to 40 minutes for presentation again. And Then we have the jury committee reunion. So we will gather and we will try to select and to decide who is the winner. It is important that you stay connected and listen to all the pitches, because during this time you will receive a link that will allow you to vote for the awards of audience. So you can vote with the winner for you, and the winner for the audience will have they will have 2 prizes of 100 euros, and the winner of the Falling Walls Lab Delft will have 1 prize of 300 euros plus our support and the help together to the grand finale in Berlin. So how does this platform work? There's the main stage where you are now probably, and there are the networking rooms where you will be put randomly at a certain point during the breaks, where you can have a talk with the other attendees. And then there is also some other space, like you can see all our speakers and the rest of our attendees and other details that you can explore maybe later, or you already did. So I would like to now also say something about the questions. We will have a Q&A session with our jury members, because they need to select the most important element, so the winner of today. But you can also, as attendees, do some questions. You have a comment chat, is another part of the Vertly app, and you can write down your questions, and we can pick one of those. And if there are some that are similar, for example, they will be preferred, and we will. I will try to ask it to one of our participants. So this was more or less the overall plan for today. Now I would like to see if we can start our first pitch row, and then we can also say that we will have 1 or 2 surprises for you. So now we are on time also to start our pitch, and we are about to stream the video pitch of our presenter. The first one is Adelaida Gutiérrez with the project of breaking the wall of malaria's treatment accessibility. And then after this presentation, you will be able to question her, both jury member or the audience.
My name is Adelaida Gutiérrez. I am a forming industrial designer from Colombia, and my passion is traveling my country. In one of my trips, I ended up in Nuquí, a marvelous place where the Pacific Ocean meets the jungle. Last year, I had the opportunity to meet Josie, a joyful 6-year-old boy. 6 months ago, I received a call from Josie's mother, crying, telling me that Josie had the #1 threat in their community, malaria. After 8 days, he got treatment and fortunately survived, but this delay costed him a lifelong kidney failure. Sadly, delays like this are frequent in similar isolated communities, which lack appropriate access to healthcare. Many survivors, like Josie, end up with sequels, and others, not so lucky, die waiting to be treated. Like Josie, there are 8 million other people in Colombia who are at risk of being infected every single day. To get an idea, this is about half of the population in the Netherlands. Only within the first 6 months of 2020, there were more than 45,000 malaria cases reported in Colombia, which is twice the population of TU Delft. This map shows this year's malaria infections in Colombia. Red areas match the Afro and indigenous communities, which make up 43% of cases. In most of these places, there is no way to run tests, and medications have to be sent from big cities, taking too long, or even worse, never arriving. Unfortunately, malaria is not just being present in Colombia, but in the entire world. In 2018, 3% of our world population was diagnosed with malaria. This is not just a one-year pandemic, it's happening every single year. Given the case of Josie, I set myself the purpose to look for an alternative, and after some research, I came to Artemisia, a medicinal plant that has cured over 20,000 cases of malaria in Africa, with 4 daily infusions during 8 days. This same plant's component is what pharmaceutists use today for traditional treatment. By creating communitarian crops of Artemisia, we will empower isolated communities to be self-sufficient with malaria's treatment. In addition to the infrastructure that we aim to build together with them, we will provide all the knowledge needed for the sustainability, care, and use of these crops through interventions and trainings to the community and its leaders. We estimate that with a 30-meter squared greenhouse, we can produce 500 malaria treatments, which is enough for the 400 to 600 people communities we want to impact. The most important benefits of these solutions are: it is replicable in many other contexts of Colombia and the world. It is implementable in the precarious conditions of the communities we want to impact, and it does not collide at all with their traditions. We have already taken the first steps, but we know there's still a long road ahead of us, and our next stop is getting financial aid to implement the first pilot of our project. Let's break the walls of malaria's treatment accessibility together.
Hello, we are back. So, first question: do we have question from the jury? Let's see if there's someone that have questions here. Bertans have one. Okay, please.
Shall I kick it off? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. My question is: it sounds like a great idea. And the first thought that I have is, why haven't we come to this idea before? Why is it not there already?
Okay. So actually, we have contacted someone in Africa. He's a social worker from Spain, and he has come to the idea. He saved already more than 20,000 people with it. But he's had some trouble with pharmaceutics who have a business out of this treatment. So what we're trying to do is make it as accessible as possible to these isolated communities. And probably like him, there's more people who have used it. I've heard of the indigenous community in the Amazon who also has a plan to treat malaria, but we want to formalize it. We want to make this noticeable and be able to take it to more communities than there's ever been.
So your startup is more about scaling than it is about the initial idea, because the idea has been proven already. It has been there already.
Exactly. It's taking something that has already been proven and that has worked, but kind of officialize it and organize it and be able to scale it and take it to more communities.
Cool. Thanks. Someone else?
Do we have someone else? Question from here, Esther. Esther, one, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I was just wondering, you talk about infusions, and it seemed as if it was a teacup. And I was wondering, in terms of dosage, does it come close, or can you just infuse it or have it as a normal non-sick person as well?
Yes, so actually there's two ways to use this plant. One is for treatment and another one is for prevention. And it can be drank as, we were actually thinking of selling tea bags of this, because you take the plant when it's dried and you mash it, I guess, and you use it as an infusion in a hot water, and that provides the treatment when it's taken 4 times a day during 8 days. But it can also work as prevention because it has many other benefits that helps with your prevention system.
Okay, perfect. Rogier has one question. Yourself again.
Sorry,
we cannot hear you.
I think you're.
Yes, let's try. Okay, try again. No, we cannot hear you. Try to mute and unmute by yourself, maybe it will help. Was the video? No. Can you write down the question? So maybe I can, and then I will try to read it. Let's see. See. Didn't comment.
Okay. Just
I can see the private one here.
no, but it's not there. No, that's comments.
Okay, fair. I cannot really manage to see your question though, but we will manage to ask you the question after, maybe in the break. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So I hope everything was clear from Adelaida. And now we will go for the second project of the day from Akshit Gupta with the name Breaking the Wall of Air Pollution.
In 2016, almost every other day, I used to go for running early in the morning. I was back in New Delhi then. One day, when I came back, instead of feeling refreshed, I puffed this black smoke-like material from my nose that looked like dust particles trapped in mucus. It was actually my first realization of pollution in the air. Air pollution is a burning health crisis. It kills 7 million people each year, but the worst, it robs us of our most precious gift, the years in our lives. Up to 2 years in parts of Europe and up to 3, 4, 5 years in parts of India and China. The reason why it's difficult to tackle this problem is due to a huge information gap. We simply lack the data to understand our exposure to poor air. In cities, air quality is estimated using these monitoring stations, which are bulky and look like computers from the 60s. They are few in number and they cannot move. On the other hand, air pollution changes hour by hour, varying by up to 8 times within a single city block. So unless you happen to walk across right next to one of these big monitoring stations, it's impossible to tell what you're actually breathing. Thus for governments, air quality looks like this. But to us as citizens, air quality is dynamic, with pollution particles moving with the wind. So how do we protect ourselves? How do the decision makers know when to shut down factories and cut traffic with this huge information gap? In this age of Internet of Things and 5G, we propose a small device called Respire. It has geolocation capabilities and it's small enough to fit in your hand. It contains low-cost miniature sensors to measure the most important pollutants in the air, like nitrogen dioxide, particulate matter, and volatile organic compounds. You can just attach this bike under a bike seat or over the car as a vehicle tracker, and it measures air pollution wherever you go. So we get real-time air quality readings in each and every corner of the city. All this data is then made actionable by feeding it to a forecasting model to empower municipalities and civic leaders for providing early emergency warnings to the public as well as earlier preventive actions, in reality even days before air pollution reaches dangerous levels. To us as citizens, we can find the best route to cycle to work. We can run outside when the pollution is not peaking. We can find the best path to bring our children out. To make this a reality, I am currently working at the Embedded and Network Research Group at TU Delft. And currently, I'm halfway in building the first prototype, thanks to the initial funding provided by TU Delft Global Initiative. Technology alone will not make air pollution disappear overnight, but with the right information and actionable data, first steps can be taken. Thank you.
For your presentation. Now we try to get questions from jury. Do you have questions? Let's see. And Esther? Yes, please.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Exciting idea. I was wondering if it is a continuous measurement and if you have to turn it on or not, and how you will process the data that comes from it.
Yeah, so it's a multi-part question. So coming to your first point, the data is sent at an interval. So it's using LoRa, which is low power WAN, and the data is sent at a duty cycle of 2%. So every 2 seconds of 100. And for this second part, which is how the data is processed, it's encrypted using a batch approach. So we use aggregated approach, and it's batched and anonymized. Does that answer your question?
Okay, that's good. We have
Actually, thanks for your presentation. My question is, what's your business model? How are you going to make money with it? Or is that
For us, our initial goal was to make a non-profit, but we are actually trying to get in contact with the municipalities, mostly in developing countries as well as developed countries. We are in contact with the municipality in Ghana, and yeah, so we're basically targeting government organizations and municipalities.
Okay, and they have to pay for the devices.
Yeah. Right now, they are actually spending more than 10,000 euros per air quality monitoring station. Our solution can make it less than, let's say, 2,000 euros with better accuracy.
Okay, and why, as a user, would I put one of these devices on my bike?
Because you get free tracking for your vehicle.
Okay.
So it's a GPS tracker.
That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you steal it, then you cannot just rip the device and throw it away and then ride off with a bike, can you?
Sorry?
But if someone steals my bike, he can just rip off this device and then just run off with the bike.
So we like the enclosure for the enclosure for attaching the device was proprietary. So the screw cannot be open, and if it's they can actually do multiple stuff, but we had a really solid enclosure. Right now, we're still figuring how to make it more robust. But right now, for the GPS tracker, we are just using the tracker that's the fitting that's already available in the market.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Okay, that was nice. I hope you answered your question. Do we have other questions? No more? Okay. Something from the audience? Nothing? Nothing apparently? Okay. Thank you very much, Akshit. I'm asking to a 5 to 10 minutes break, say 10 maximum, and we will be back for the next 3 presentation. Thank you very much. See you in a bit. Hello, we are back. Audience, please connect, be aware. We are about to start the next presentation. Okay, just give some minutes. We make a break for some technical solving, and also like to give the jury the time to process their votes for you. So now we will start with the next presentation. We will have Nicolau Torra with breaking the wall of ventilated patients and certain treatment.
Hello, my name is Nicolau, and I'm a biomedical engineer entrepreneur. My passion is to improve patients' lives through technology. That's why in the past I co-founded and led a spin-off in the health tech field, and now I'm involved in this exciting challenge to break the wall of mechanical ventilated patients and certain treatment. Okay, this won't be fun, but imagine you have a relative in the ICU. Would you want him to be treated the best way possible? Well, defining the best ventilation strategy for your relative or any other patient is an extremely complex task. Every ventilator has more than 24 modes, and every brand has different ones. So clinicians end up relying on their know-how and only use 3 basic settings, which may not be the most appropriate ones for the patient. To cope with such an unmet medical need, we are developing MV Optimizer. I am part of an amazing research team in Polytechnic University of Catalonia in Barcelona. MV Optimizer is an artificial intelligence clinical software that gathers all the data from the patient and predicts the best ventilation strategy. We automatically personalize the treatment for every patient. Of course, this has a big positive impact on the patient, improving patient outcomes by protecting the lungs, avoiding complications, reducing the length of stay, and decreasing mortality. It also helps clinicians making their decision-making more agile. This is very important right now with the crisis of COVID crisis we are living, but critical care units are always crowded, So it is very important to work as fast as possible always. And finally, it drastically reduces the costs of the hospital. So tell me, if your mom, dad, brother or sister would be in the ICU, would you want MV Optimizer to take care of them? Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We have her here in the backstage with us. Yes. There.
See,
Hello.
hello?
Hi. So, do we have a question from jury? Let's see. Stefania, yes, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can perfectly.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Anna, for sharing with us your idea, your passion for this extremely important topic, especially, as you said, a problem, especially in times of COVID. However, I spent quite some time with scientists, and doctors are scientists in their own way, and typically in a lab, there is a lot of reluctance to start or to embrace new techniques. So how do you think, do you have any idea how this will be received by doctors themselves, or those who are making the choice? And do you think it's going to be difficult to build trust in your solution?
Yeah, that's a great point. Actually, we have found this in the past also with other projects in the field. And just very briefly, I will explain we have a strategy for that. Initially, we will use this tool as an assessment for the clinician. So the clinician will be initially involved in the decision making. And then afterwards, we will create the trust like this. And afterwards, the software will be able to make the decisions automatically once we have the clinical community trust.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Let's see, someone else from the jury have questions. Let's see.
Yes. Hey, Anna, thanks for your presentation. Question, AI most of the time is built on a lot of data already, right? So you have a lot of data, then you make interpretations and you help the system learn and interpret these data. Do you have data on this already?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Well, first, the model we're using has initially a mathematical model only based on physiological data. And then on top, we develop the AI. So it's initially only physiological data. And of course, yes, we are collaborating with two big hospitals here in Barcelona. And we are able to use their data from the ICU and then create our models. And afterwards, our next step is to validate it in real-time patients. Yeah.
Okay, so you haven't tested it yet?
Yeah, we have validated like retrospective with data we have gathered, and then in the lab we have tested the model, but then not in real time. Mm-hmm.
No. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bertat. So no more question? No question from the audience? Oh. We can go. Oh, we have a question from Rogier.
Yeah, can you hear me now? You had an issue with the microphone. Okay, thank you.
It's working.
Perfect. It's a beautiful topic and very urgent. But my question is, shouldn't the manufacturers of the ventilation systems and the others not pick up this challenge? And why do you have, as a startup company, pick up this challenge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're not yet a startup. We plan to be, not in the long future. And yeah, we are quite familiar with mechanical ventilator companies. I actually worked in one in Sweden, so I have this experience. We have this experience in house, and they are very, very focused on improving the modes themselves, and their differentiator is not specifically the software and the forecasting they can provide. So obviously, our strategy long term is to be integrated with the mechanical ventilator brands of course. That's the one makes most of sense. But they are not investing in this so much right now. They are more relying on startups or lab research. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I understand. Yeah.
Thanks. I can't hear you, Andrea. Or I think you're muted.
Hi everyone, my name is Bianca Carague and I'm a social designer and researcher. And as we all know, 2020 has been a strange year. The uncertainty that's come with it has amplified feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, and loneliness. And it's costing us. By 2030, it's projected that the global mental health crisis will cost us $16 trillion not to address. So clearly, we're not likely to find $16 trillion for the global mental health crisis. We know that there's this overwhelming disparity between the cost of our global problems and the resources actually allocated to solving them. So the question becomes, how can we activate other forms of capital, social, structural, intellectual resources to compensate for this deficit? While in quarantine, I built Bump Galaxy, a virtual world and community for mental health. In it, players can visit several different care commons designed for different types of care, like a meditation forest, sand dunes for reflecting on your dreams, a netherworld for facing your fears, and a snowfield and underwater temple designed for uncovering trauma and deep hypnotic imaginings. In Bump Galaxy, players can also meet different mental health professionals from around the world who work together on collaborative care programs. Imagine a joint therapy session with a relationship counselor from Sweden and a hypnotherapist in Japan, or participating in a collective sound bath in the rainforest by one of your favorite DJs. Imagine combining conventional methods with alternative therapies to provide more holistic healthcare experiences in a game world that actually meets the level of intimacy many of us crave, that conventional telehealth platforms lack. By designing a virtual platform for mental health, we're able to make care more affordable and more diverse, broadening the reach of mental health practitioners' services. By visualizing psychology concepts onto a virtual landscape, care becomes more playful and collaborative, deinstitutionalizing healthcare and blurring the lines between caregiver and care receiver. So what does it mean for us to bump into each other, actually? It means to gently collide, in surprising and meaningful ways pregnant with possibility. What Bump Galaxy allows us to do is to apply a strategy of community, collaboration, and co-investment in a way that's enjoyable and beneficial for its multiple stakeholders. So I joined Falling Walls because I want to invite you all to join my community. If anything that I just talked about resonates with you on any level, you can visit bumpgalaxy.com to sign up. Let's build a world where caring for each other means playing together. Because we're living in a game world, one in which we can modify the code if we like.
Back on. Okay. Thank you very much, Bianca. And now to you. Okay, that's probably you. Do we have questions from the jury? Van Rusha first.
Can't hear you, sorry.
We cannot hear you. No?
Hello?
Your mic.
Okay, that's working.
Okay. You try to allow your mic while we go to the next jury member. There is someone else that have a question for Bianca? Dear.
Yes, thanks for this presentation. It's a beautiful topic. It's urgent, and I like the idea that you make use of these internet fora, which cause a lot of issues, but also how to solve these issues. My two concerns would be, is there any way to prevent that people spend too much time behind the computer? because that's also known as a risk? And the other question is there any way to control the quality of the people that are willing to help others?
Okay. Well, to answer your first question, that's controlling people's time on the internet is not something that I've been working on. I think right now what I'm focused on is, if people are spending so much time online already, how can we create these spaces of intimacy and trust rather than of, competition, exploitation. Instead, I mean, this whole project started because I realized that there were such capitalist ideologies encoded behind most game mechanics. And so I thought, well, how can I design this alternate reality, this space for intimacy and trust within this capitalist world-making system of Minecraft? So that's to answer your first question. And for the second, sorry, what was your second question again?
Is there any way to control the quality of the service providers?
Okay, well, right now, I have a sign-up sheet on my website, and it's not automated wherein I immediately give practitioner access to anyone that signs up as a practitioner. That I ask for documentation and explanation. We have a conversation around it and to verify first, and then we explore together how we can, make their practice work on Bump Galaxy, on the platform. But, at the end of the day, this whole project is about blurring the lines between someone who gives care and someone who receives it. And so it's, yes, if we're providing paid therapy through the virtual platform, they have to be documented. They have to be, as you say, quality caregivers. But at the end of the day, the question is, well, how can we care for each other in a more informal manner?
Clear. Well, time is too short. It's a great topic. We should continue another time. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bianca. Do we have one last question from the jury? Sorry if yes, yours. Yes. All of them? Many questions. Put a couple of them in, and then we try to be short as much as possible.
Oh, you can just guys skip me. Just go ahead.
Yeah. How do you measure the success of the people who are actually using your application? Like if it's really working or not?
You mean the success of therapy?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just started doing this last November, and so I don't feel like I'm at that level where I can really say that, or quantitatively say that things are working. But, I really, based on research that people have done on other video games and other virtual platforms, we know that doing therapy in a video game is a lot like watching a play or watching a movie wherein you're already cognitively predisposed to make believe. And so these game-specific rituals or game-specific, therapeutic activities or objects and mechanics that you do in the game just make the healing and internal change more real and effective.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, maybe a short question. So thanks very much for your presentation. I was just wondering, how do you think of how you could reach the most vulnerable people that you would want to have on your platform? So do you have any ideas on that?
Sorry, I don't think I...
So I was wondering, how do you reach the most vulnerable people that you would like on your platform? So your communication strategy.
That's a good question. I think one of the reasons why I feel that it's so powerful to be doing therapy on a game is because most of the people that need these therapies the most are on these platforms itself. So simply by joining other communities outside of my own that are connected to not just Minecraft, but other community centric games. That's how I feel I could reach them. I don't think that I'd be reaching it from a very like marketing level, but really more a community approach is what I'm going for.
One last question from Ina, brief, please, and then we need to move to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Very nice. I wonder, what is your main promise to potential members to recruit them? What do you promise them? So what's in it for them, actually?
For regular players of the game, not just practitioners.
Also, yeah.
Well, for example, for regular members, first of all, it brings joy. I've seen that. It is quite nice and it's fun. So there's that, but also because therapy is done online, it makes it cheaper for them because costs are lower, but also it can be done in group sessions. And for practitioners, over the pandemic, I've been talking to several practitioners saying, it actually doesn't make sense for me to pay for a clinic anymore because I'm not able to see my clients and my practice requires physical contact. So I would take them on my server and we say, okay, well, let's see, how can we make your practice relevant online? And so for them and for what I've experienced personally, like I could, as a practitioner, earn 3 times what a regular practitioner would earn online because I would be catering to, let's say, 10 people at a time, whereas on their end, they'd only be paying a fraction of the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ina. Thank you, Bianca. I'm sorry for the start. It was a bit difficult, and we had some problem with my mic, but show must go on, so we just streamed your presentation right away. I will just want to remind the name of your presentation to the presenter. So you're Bianca Carague, as you said, and this is Breaking the Wall of Mental Healthcare. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your answer. And I hope the jury had enough time to vote now, because obviously it's difficult to do this on the way. But now we will go for the last presenter of this session, and then we will have a break. So around 10 minutes break, a 15 minutes break. So now we will have Jaime Ascencio with Breaking the Wall of Vanishing Reefs.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Jaime, and I want to tell you my story. I used to travel to places like this one, in Mexico and the Caribbean, but I didn't go there because of the nice weather. I went there because of this. Erosion all over the place. On the other side of this street, Jose, a resort owner, is extremely worried because his neighbors already lost their restaurants and hotels by being eaten by the sea, and he might be next. This is caused because of climate change. More storms with large intensity are predicted, causing today 25% of all sandy beaches being eroded, and tomorrow by 2100, half of them could disappear. How do we fight this? We have been placing a large amount of concrete in the water. For example, China has a 60% coastline made of concrete, with similar numbers in the US. This has a huge negative impact in the environment, but also we cannot pay it anymore. We cannot keep with sea level rise. What if I tell you that by placing these hard structures, we are disrupting our best protection against waves? Reefs, for example. Coral reefs can dissipate up to 97% of the wave energy before reaching shoreline. Nevertheless, nature requires time and years to grow, and we need solutions for today. That is why I have founded Reefy, and we have created this level-like structure that can be placed underwater to give coastal protection since day one, and at the same time allow marine biodiversity to thrive. How do we make this happen? We have 2 types of blocks. The structural block that is heavy and keeps all the structures stable against waves by an interlocking system, and the eco block, a block that we design with specific caves, tunnels, and rugosities for target species, like juvenile fish, lobster, or crabs. In addition, we use vegetation like seagrass. Seagrass not only helps us to fight erosion, but also is one of the most efficient carbon sinks in the world, 35% more efficient than tropical forests. With this, we have approached potential partners all over the world that have shown interest, signing already 2 potential pilot projects. Nevertheless, to make that happen, we need to finish the development of our technology, and that's why I'm here to ask you for your help. Audience, please vote for us to contribute to save our oceans. Jury, allow us to reach a larger audience with potential investors and partners to make a huge positive impact in the society, in the economy, and in the environment. Help us, reef by reef, build a better world. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.
Okay, back on. Thank you very much, Jaime, for your presentation. We have you here. Can you hear us? Can you speak?
I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's perfect. Now we have jury members' questions. We had Gert, I think. Gert Hans? Yes.
Hey, Jaime. Thanks for your presentation. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Good. So if I get you well, it's about vanishing reefs, but it's also about the water level rising, right? So what is it? Is it about the water level rising or about the reefs?
We're solving 2 problems at the same time. Making a structure that can protect the coastline from waves and at the same time bring the reefs back to nature.
Okay, so and so you're sinking blocks onto the bottom of the sea, blocks that can be used for vegetation to grow on, or for biodiversity to grow on, or animals or whatever, right? That's
Correct.
it. And what are these blocks made of?
That's a very awesome question. So that's one of like our secret sauce. These empty containers can be just filled with local sediments like sand. So you can make it cheaper and with less CO2 footprint.
So it's containers that you sink. So they don't sink themselves. You fill them up with whatever you like, and then you sink them.
You sink them with the help of an anchor, and already you're taking the sand that is next to you, saving a lot of like installation costs, for example.
Okay, and why hasn't it done before? Because it sounds so simple.
Because as engineers, we like to design with the stuff that we know how it's going to behave. So we love concrete. We love rectangles, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
By placing this complex structure, it is hard to predict how many blocks you will need to protect the coastline. So that's why we're now developing some experiments to understand how to design with complexity in nature, because it's the most beneficial solution.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let's try to have some other small questions. Do we have someone of the jury? Rushabh, it's wanting to do a question.
Hey, thank you so much for your presentation. What do you think is the most difficult part of your solution?
Of course, there are challenges. I will say that one of our most difficult challenges now is to bring the financial support to finish the development of the technology. So we have already the potential client for next year, but how to finance ourselves in this year is a challenge we are facing. That's why we're looking for investors, loans, and grants.
And in the technology, what is the most important part of the technology that you are struggling with?
And in the technology, the most difficult one is the interlocking system. So in the experiments, we are testing different interlocking systems to see what is the maximum force of waves they can take to be designed as a breakwater.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I don't know if there's another question from Judy. I want to do a question from the audience we got, and is how is reefy different from other concrete structures that are already in the market? Example, reef balls or WUDs, etc.
That's a very good question. So we're completely different because we're not using concrete at all. We're using these empty containers that are using a mix of biopolymers with steel that have a very thin layer, and you can just fill them with sand, gravel, or whatever you have on site.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. I hope that our audience got their answer. You have a last question? Nothing. We will give some time now to the jury member to assess their votes and also for you to network. And we will come back in 15 minutes. So let's say at 4:20 we will start again. Thank you. attendees. Hello. We're back, and now we will have something that was not announced before. So we will have a small introduction of what Falling Walls is and the remote event that we will see in November this year from one of the project manager of the Falling Walls Lab Foundation. So welcome, Lara Kadegge, I think, or similar, I'm not sure, but I hope it works. It was the right one. And please, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. Good afternoon and hello from Berlin. Thank you so much, Andrea, for this nice introduction. And on behalf of the Berlin team, we would also like to thank you for organizing and hosting this lab, which is really a great lab, I heard. So I'm really excited and honored to be part of it. And I would like to just give you a quick idea what we are currently doing in Berlin in our team, and also what your finalists can expect in November. So my name is Lara. I've been working with the lab team since the beginning of September. And I've been really enjoying the work with international labs and people like you bringing to stage all kinds of innovative ideas from different kinds of disciplines. It's really such a great format, and yeah, I'm so excited to be part of it. So I'd like to give you an idea what we are doing. So at the moment, we've had already some labs taken place internationally, and now the finalists are sending us their video submissions, which we are reviewing. So that's pretty exciting. On the other hand, yeah, still lots of labs are still taking place, many of them remotely, just like yours. And yeah, and then the finalists can expect a great program in November, which we are currently still fine-tuning. So what you can expect is lots of great networking opportunities with experts and role models from all kinds of disciplines from all over the world. And yeah, and of course, the stage to present your innovative idea to the world. So we are very excited and looking forward to hear the final decision of the jury. But in the meantime, I wish you participants lots of fun. And yeah, I would just like to say thank you again. And also, I see you have a great jury and you have a great participants list. So I'm really happy to be part of it. And thank you again, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this nice words and information about it, because I think everyone gets really excited now, even more, to what will happen in November. I hope sooner or later we will be there in person again, because it's really nice, but also being online, I think it's a nice way to connect and communicate. Again, I want to thank you also on behalf of the whole team that is helping me here, that they are not on screen with me, but we work hard to make this happen. And again, thank to all the team in Berlin that is helping our lab, like the other hundreds of labs in the world, actually, to happen, and with a lot of efforts, really, to make these young guys, entrepreneur, students, academics, to make their ideas realize, thrive, and break the walls. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looking forward to the next presentation.
Yes, we will. That's what we will do now. So we will go back to our schedule, and now we will start the second row of pitch from the 6th to the 10th. You will find it also probably on Facebook. And our next speaker will be Leonardo Boeri, with his project about breaking the walls of cooperative clean energy projects.
Hi, I'm Leonardo Boeri, and I'm here today, live from my room, for the Falling Walls Lab Delft. I'm here to talk about how to break the walls of cooperative clean energy projects. First of all, let me start by saying that we, as engineers, are most of the time biased on how we perceive technology. We see this beautiful artifact, and we spend so much time trying to tweak a parameter that we lose the idea of how they are actually implemented in society. I realized this when I was working for Arcadis. So I was working on wind energy projects, and I got a call one day from a customer that said that the people in his upcoming wind farm were very concerned. So I went there and I sit down with the residents and I asked them, okay, what are the issues here? Well, the issues were that 15% of their house value just got cancelled by the fact that a wind farm was upcoming there. And they reported very high level of stress, lack of sleep in the night. They were very concerned about noise nuisance, shadow flicker, and visual impacts over the landscape. But if you've been living in this country long enough, you know that this is not an uncommon problem. This is something that we face almost monthly. We have highly radicalized groups in the north of the country that actively fight against wind turbines. They use violence, they threaten people, and they even put asbestos on the sites to slow down the processes. This is causing big economic damages for energy companies, but is also eroding the fabric of society. This is happening because the process is not fair anymore. It's not just anymore. The benefits of wind energy are not going to the community. And this process is not participative. People are not talked to. They are not asked if they actually want the project or how they want to do it. And I'm here, I'm working. I want to create a space where this can happen, where a bottom-to-top approach can be implemented, where we can empower communities to actually be participative in these projects. We want to give them access to financial tools and to technical expertise and innovation in order for them to build the best project for their area. We can work with a lot of companies in this country to make this happen. And we need to create a platform or a space where this can happen. The question is, do we now want to change the paradigm? Do we want to take action? Or will we consider people as subject of our project? I'm here if you have any questions or concern. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you, Leonardo, with your project about breaking the wall of cooperative clean energy projects. Welcome on stage.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
Now we want to give some room to our jury to see if they have questions for you. There is someone that have some questions? See, raise hand, Stefania. Yes, please.
Hi. Thank you very much, Leonardo, for bringing to us this idea. But also, I'm very impressed that an engineer comes up with this idea, because I come from social sciences and usually I consider that my terrain. Now, the idea is very good for all the reasons that you have already explained. What I would like to know is, how do we expect people who are adopting very disruptive methods to advance their hate for this project to change completely their attitude and then all of a sudden become cooperative? So I would like to know how do you do it technically? How does this environment will look like, and how do you expect to actually gain their participation?
Yes, thank you for the question. Can you hear me properly also? Thank you. Okay, first of all, on this radicalized group, they are of course not the target of this. We want to target the silent majority, the most of the population, the 98% who actually will be subject to the project, by giving them tools and information to know that this project is actually good for their community. This brings benefit and money for them, so they will not listen to this radicalized group who pursue their own interest. Second of all, I think you asked me about the technical space. This is not a technical project. This is more an idea, a pitch that I want to bring. I want to start a communication with different actors. I know here we have people from TNO, from Rabobank. I want to bring this topic on the table to discuss, okay, how we can reshape how we pursue wind energy in this country. Did this answer your question?
I hope so. Stefania is muted, I don't know. Okay, probably yes. Do we have other questions? The jury members? Gerthan, yes.
Hey, Leonardo, thanks for your presentation. I was wondering, so people don't want these windmills in the backyard because of a couple of reasons. And how is this changing? How is your solution? What's your solution doing to change it? Because it's about information, but there is still no change in the business model, right? So windmill will be there, energy will be made, money will go to the energy company, right? There's no change there. So what's actually changing except some background information?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say they don't want wind turbines. People work with incentives, and it's all about giving the right incentives to the right people in order to have a project to be accepted. My idea is not only to reshape how the benefits of wind energy are distributed, but also on how we actually include people in the decision making. Sometimes people don't want a wind turbine because it's too close or it's impacting something they don't like, is creating noise, and they are so against it because they just receive it. If we actually ask, or if we actually give people options, or if we include them in the design process of this, we can actually solve this problem with minimal design changes. We can create a better site that is better suitable for them. My idea is not to change the business model. My idea is to change the way we approach the business model by including more stakeholders.
Okay, but you also suggested that they will benefit from it because you were talking about incentives. What kinds of incentives to make them enthusiastic about something that they hate? What kind of incentives do you see?
In the north, a few pilot projects like this have been tried, and they mostly use a small payback system for the depreciation of the house, and they sometimes try to use the wind energy that is produced in the area in the community, which is actually reducing the electricity bill. But that is a small, let's say, contract that they do with the energy company. I want to create a bigger framework that can be applied in multiple projects.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, Gert-Hans, for the question. Do we have one last question from Judy? We need to move on. So it's a quick question. Someone? Nothing. No audience question either. So thank you very much, Leonardo. Thank you for your presentation. Really much appreciated. And now I give some minutes to our jury to write down their idea, the impressions about this project. And we will go to the next one, number 7 in this case. We have Pablo, Biedma, Núñez with the project Breaking the Wall of Natural Disasters. Thank you.
Natural disasters are one of the biggest problems in society. Many people die every year because of them. And even though nowadays we have really good technology, we are not able to solve this problem. As a computer science student, I couldn't let this happen. 3 years ago, I came home after a normal day in high school, and I started watching a documentary about how some animals, like birds, are able to detect natural disasters. And I was wondering, why don't we do the same thing? Well, first of all, how do they do it? How are some animals able to detect natural disasters? Well, when a natural disaster is approaching, it generates pressure variations in the atmosphere. Some animals, like birds, are able to detect those pressure variations, and then they fly away and they are safe from the disaster. I wanted to do the same thing, but how can we do this? Well, we can use the piezoelectric effect. The piezoelectric effect is a property that some materials have, that when we apply mechanical tension on them, they generate electricity. So I started thinking, we can use a piezoelectric material and we can use the pressure variations generated when a natural disaster is approaching as mechanical tension on a piezoelectric material, and then we can use the electricity generated to activate a circuit that alerts the population from that disaster. So I started working on this idea, and I ended up with a prototype which was able to detect natural disasters just like animals do. But this is not enough. We need something else, because the difference between a bird and a human is that one is intelligent and the other one is the human. So we need to use machine learning in order to make this solution even more efficient and save millions of lives. Thank you very much.
So we thank you very much, Pablo. We don't see you in the backstage, so I don't know if you're able to enter. I hope so, because maybe the jury have some questions. If you can hear us and you cannot be here, maybe the jury can do the question. You can write them down and you can answer them later, or we can find a way maybe. Did that jury have?
He's in the chat.
He's in the chat, so maybe we can write the answer. So maybe jury member, someone have a question for him? No one? Yes, get on.
Yeah, there I am. Yeah, so I was wondering, he cannot hear me, can he?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I was wondering, it sounds so simple, right? So why is it not there? That's one question. And my other question is about the testing. So he said, well, we created something and we tested it and we could see a disaster coming. So I was wondering what kind of disaster he saw coming and how this worked.
Okay, I hope he took notes. So how it comes. Rooftop, please.
Yeah, actually, I also had the similar one. It sounds so simple that why hasn't anybody done it so far? And also the second one is, it's a very general claim to say that all natural disasters can be detected. So are there any specific natural disasters that trigger this, or all natural disasters have a pressure variance or not?
Okay, thank you very much, Rooftop.
Yeah,
Rogier, you also wanted to ask
Well,
some-
Mike, I have some concerns about the technical implementation. So I would ask our pitcher to calculate the pressure drop he thinks you need to detect to create an electrical signal, and how much energy he thinks that will generate to use in an effective way. Because I'm afraid that the pressure differences are too small for any usable signal.
Okay, perfect. I hope Pablo took this note of these questions, so maybe we can find a way to answer these questions later. So hope now the jury will sign some notes and then they will vote later probably. And we will take our time to go to the next speaker we have today. His name is Paul Meulendijks, and his project is about breaking the wall between child patients and their clinicians.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm a designer, I'm not a doctor, but I'm here to talk to you about talking to doctors. Because I don't know if it's just in the Netherlands, but I hear a lot that when people go to the doctor, they feel like they're not really being listened to, like they're not properly involved. And this can be very frustrating. But for a lot of children that have to go to the hospital every year, it's a lot worse. Because these children, a lot of them aren't even involved in this conversation. A lot of them, they have to wait outside. Right? Nobody asks them anything, it's the parents and the doctors that are talking. And you can say, okay, the conversation might be too difficult for the child, might not understand, or there's not enough time to properly involve him. Or you can say that, well, it's a child, it's difficult to talk to children, they might not have the focus, or they might not have the energy, or they might simply not care. So the intentions are not necessarily wrong, but the consequences are real. Because when the child doesn't feel involved, it might be very anxious, and it might be less collaborative in the test that they have to do. Furthermore, well, it might say less, and this might not sound like a problem to some of you, but for doctors, it's very important that the child is expressing how it's experiencing the illness. They need this information to make better decisions about the care. So how can we involve children better? This is the challenge that I faced specifically for the Child Brain Lab of the Sophia Children's Hospital. This is a lab where children had to do a lot of different tests about their brain. And by talking to these children, by talking to their parents, by talking to their doctors, we eventually developed the brain portrait pieces. And this is a collection of pieces that guide the child through these tests. For every test that the child does, it gets such a piece that explains a little bit about what that test has measured, how that bit of your brain works, and why you were doing the test in the first place. And this way, it quite literally splits up the overwhelming amount of information in different pieces. And because these pieces are physical, you can take them home, right? And this is where the child is more comfortable, where the child does have the energy to explore the pieces and explore this information. So then when the time comes that the test results need to be discussed with the doctor, you can bring these pieces to the hospital and you can guide the discussion around these pieces. And in this way, it becomes a lot more understandable for the child, but it also signals to both the child and to the doctor that the child is expected to join the conversation. I personally believe that it's very important to involve them. After all, we all want to feel involved and we all want to feel like we're listened to. And that's why I also want to thank you a lot for listening to me today. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. Welcome on stage.
Good to be here. Thank you.
My pleasure. So thank you very much for your video. Now we will leave some room to our jury to make some questions. Hester, please. You first.
Yes, thank you very much. I always am very happy when it's an idea that actually comes from the perspective of the patient or of the child. I'm just wondering, I assume it also takes time to have this involved in the conversation. So have you talked to pediatricians about how they feel about involving this in their conversation with kids?
Yes, thank you for the question. Certainly, I think I've talked over 14 different types of clinicians. And what they say is they do by default always sort of try to engage the child and ask them about their perspective. Just situation is then that you get these yes, good, fine, no answer or no answer at all. So ideally, there is a little time to engage the child like this. Just the problem is that the child doesn't always feel, how do you say, doesn't have the right incentive to talk, or there's not a lot coming out, let's say. So this way it gives the incentive. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, a bit, but it's also about the pressure in the system, in the medical system. So there's a lot of time pressure on the doctors as well. So yeah. I was just wondering, have you thought about how to handle that?
Yes.
Instructions or helping them to deal with the time pressure using this as well?
One way how I see it as well is that it takes a lot of the time that's needed to prepare or to progress and takes it at home. So if these pieces have information, for example, on the back, that's a typical case where this information normally would have been said during the consultation, or maybe it has been said during the consultation as well. But now the child effectively deals with it at home rather than only at a certain conversation, thereby freeing up a little bit of time. Or am I misinterpreting the question?
I think it's fine for now. Thank you.
Sorry, thanks.
Hi, is it my turn? I understand. Thank you, Paul, for the great idea. And I have two questions for you. One might also be dictated by the fact that I didn't get entirely your presentation because of the internet connection. So what age group exactly do you have in mind? Because children, I mean, like in the category children, we really collide a lot of different needs and ability to understand and even like linguistic abilities. So I would like to know that. And secondly, what is the possibilities for this approach to scale up? Have you thought about, for example, Mimi, you're talking about the Netherlands. but the Netherlands is not super big country, but there are many children. What if, for example, you had to export this idea to other countries? Do you think it would be possible? And what would be the challenges there?
Thank you very much for your questions. To start with the second question, I think the scaling up from country to country is actually quite intuitive. You basically have to change some language things, but not even that much, because a lot is communicated visually by the fact that it is a physical piece. So I see less problems there. The problems that you might run into is more scaling from disease-specific scenes to different disease-specific scenes. That can be a little bit of a puzzle related to what disease picture it is about. Your first question is the age group, right? Yes. This project was designed for children between 6 and 12. As we went testing a little bit, as we did some user tests, we slowly realized maybe 6 to 10 is more realistic. But for this age group, they were able to engage with the prototypes.
If I may suggest something, it might also be good to do something 10 to 14, or something like that, 12 to 14, right? Because the need might evolve, but the problem remains.
If I can add something to that, why this age sort of below 12 is chosen is because, at least in the Netherlands, from 12 onwards, the child actually has a right to be part of the decision. So the conversation is already a bit more centered to the child. But before that, it is really the parents that decide. So as a result of that, they are ignored, let's say, a little bit more.
Nice. Thank you, Stefania. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for your presentation, your time, and your answer to the
My pleasure.
Now we have give 1 minute for the jury to write down the last thing that they had in mind after your presentation. And we managed to have Pablo back in the backstage, so you will have 1 minute to answer the question that our jury did. So please welcome on the stage, Pablo, Biedma.
Hi, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so shall I answer the questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, the first question was that this was so simple, so why did no one come up with this already? So, well, that's true, it's a simple solution, but, well, someone had to come up with it. And, yeah, actually, it's simplified in the video for educational purposes. But, yeah, in fact, the problem with current solutions is that they are too expensive for poor countries to afford. And poor countries are where natural disasters happen the most. So a simplified solution could solve this problem. And that's why my solution uses simple electronic components. And that makes it affordable for poor country. And also another advantage of this solution is that it's more efficient because current solutions are not using deep learning because there is not a reliable source to gather this data. So to answer your second question, I also worked on gathering data from the National Center for Environmental Information, and I was able to create such technology in order to optimize this simple prediction. And furthermore, regarding the pressure variations and your last questions, yeah, we need to detect a very small difference of pressure variations. This is, in fact, between 0.01 and 0.04 pascals. And yeah, this is indeed possible, as I explained in my research paper. But if you want more information about this, feel free to ask me for the link to this paper or for a chat later on. I'm open to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Pablo. Really, thank you very much for joining us later after your presentation. We must go on and. Running a bit late, so we'll try to be a bit shorter, but we will give the same space to everyone. So please welcome the project of Pietro Campolucci about breaking the wall of healthcare logistics.
Today, with the technology that we have, it is easier than ever to send and transport any type of package. Nonetheless, efficient road networks are still missing in many developing countries, causing a slowdown in many crucial delivery processes. In the case of medical supplies, you can clearly see that this logistical deficiency may result in major problems for local health. In a country such as Sri Lanka, the blood bank is centralized in a capital, while there are over 20 hospitals in the country which may need a blood supply. Given that the demand of blood is sporadic, it is almost impossible to satisfy the on-demand request before the window of opportunity closes. In light of this, it became clear that the current logistical system for delivery of medical goods needed a deep evolution. We then wanted to come up with a solution that for the first time combined long-distance delivery with accessibility door-to-door in a time-efficient manner. The solution me and my team have been working on takes the name of Project Egle. Given the insufficient road network, we instead decided to install a few drone bases in the strategic locations of the interested area. With this setup and with a swarm of UAV drones, we can deliver such fundamental goods anytime and anywhere. In the past year, we sought a way to bring this dream to reality by designing a vehicle in such a way that the low drag induced by the blended shape allows for a record range of 150 kilometers with 3 kilograms of payload. This long range, combined with the vertical takeoff and landing capabilities, allows it to cover large regions, while being able to also land in any location as desired, without even the need of a runway. Our machine also embraces the revolution of vision-based navigation systems. A set of cameras located on the back of the drone allows a fully redundant, risk-free navigation and landing. This project is about improving the lives of billions of people in non-urbanized regions of our planet, by providing them with immediate help and assistance whenever in need. Using readily available technology in a smart way, we can really break the world of healthcare logistics. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pietro.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Welcome on stage. Welcome on Falling Walls. And now I would like to give the space to jury members, as always. Let's see.
Yeah, thank you for a nice presentation.
Hi.
And I think you have a beautiful application in mind, but I think you also have to develop these drones, which may go easier or faster if you collaborate, for example, with Amazon for a easier goal, but they have, of course, the power to innovate faster. What do you think about collaborating with such partners?
Well, I think the idea of collaborating with a partner, which can give you like more technology, like better prepared engineers, more experienced engineers, and also a financial fund that can make you improve even more. It's for sure a great idea. And however, this is basically that is a second phase, let's say, because first we want to like we have right now the capabilities of developing the technology, since we work a lot on the product, and the mechanical capabilities are already reached, like the mechanical technology required is already reached, and there is a lot on software, but that, of course, the beauty of drones and the technology of drones is that they are highly scalable, and therefore it's for sure, let's say, a partnership with such big partners. It's an idea to scale up the service for everybody. But for the beginning, to test and to see if it's viable, we can do it with less, let's say, powerful entities.
Thank you.
Thank you, here. Next one, Gertad, and then Rooftop.
Yes. So Pietro, thanks for your presentation. You seem to be gone. Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Good. Thanks for your presentation. So what have you got working now? So do you have this drone already?
Yeah, the drone is currently in the prototype stage, and we are currently scaling down the size of the drone, which will be the final vehicle, in order to be sure that the software, which is the actually trickiest part, will be working correctly, because as it works on the prototype, which is easier and less expensive to build, then it's gonna probably also be scalable for let's say a finished product. So yeah, basically the design is ready, is done. The scaling is happening from the mechanical point of view, and the software is currently being written. And we have like a wide software team which is currently focusing on the perception system. I'm currently focusing on the perception system, which I think is going to be one of the key features to ensure safe and navigation that can be one day certified.
Okay, but what's the core of your idea? Is it the drone? Because I have seen these kinds of drones before, or is it the idea to put the drone in use to carry medicines from A to B?
So basically, the drone, yeah, you might have seen that, like the concept, but basically the idea is to dive into an expanding market, which is looking for two solutions. So it's looking for an efficient service, which is a part of the project. So creating these different drone bases, which based on the capabilities, on the flight performance capabilities of the drone, are like can basically cover a larger region.
So it's a better drone than the competition. That's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. So longer range, ready to be certified, even in countries which have more strict certification, because that's all goes around on safety, which is the keyword for in this kind of market.
Thank you. Thank you, Gertan, for your question. Rusham.
Yeah, actually, I had one question which I think is already answered, but I'll say it again. What's going to stop competitors like Amazon to not quickly adopt the same idea that you have? What's stopping them? And the second one is, how does the weather impact your delivery service?
Okay, to answer the first question, the target of Amazon is different from ours. So Amazon is currently looking to capitalize on the market in countries which are like required packages for leisure and other, like they don't go into those kind of environments, and they don't therefore design a solution that can suit those kind of environments. In the US, you have roads everywhere, and you don't need to design a solution which is long range. That's why they have quadcopters, for example. So our solution, I think, it's coming into the right place at the right time, as we are clearly interested in this kind of application, which is emerging right now. And the last question, sorry, I don't...
how does the weather impact your delivery service?
Yeah, so the weather, so we can expect, as you know, in Sri Lanka, we can expect heavy rains. The major problem that we are trying to cover is the, let's say, detection cameras might not see well in the rain, and therefore we designed positions of the drone in flight that can basically have the cameras covered and nested within the drone without being let's say, occluded. So that's one of the solutions, but we have also many other use cases.
Okay. I hope you got the answer of your questions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pietro. I would like just to quickly ask you to briefly answer this question from the audience. So how is the solution different from what already exists? I know the company Zipline already is doing this in Africa and the USA.
Okay, so Zipline is a very different model from ours. On our side, like for example, Sleeplan is currently launching the drone with somewhat a catapult, and this is allowing the vehicle to cover long distances, which are still less than what we expect to cover with ours. And they are dropping a package in the middle of a field with the parachute. So this is absolutely not applicable in some environments, which are, for example, hospitals located in a forest with many obstacles, and also it is not allowing the possibility to pick up the product in the landing zone. And so this is one of the main differences. And if we have to add basically also the performance that it's going to achieve and the cost, but this is going to like a very big direction, so I don't want to take too much time, but the cost is going to be also for per delivery is going to be also less, but we can discuss it later also in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pietro, for your exhaustive explanation of your project. I hope the jury had the time to write down their notes about it. And now I would like to introduce the last project of this session, and then we will have a break of 15 minutes. So I would like to introduce you Praveen Sridharan with the project Breaking the Wall of Climate Change and Rooftop Solar.
I'd put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source of power. Thomas Alva Edison said this in 1931. In 2020, UN says that the world is on track for a 3.2 degrees Celsius average temperature rise. To give you a perspective of what that means, a 2-degree average temperature rise would mean 388 million people being affected by acute water scarcity and more than 30 million people per year being affected by coastal floods and cyclones. One way to change this scenario is by using sources such as the sun to produce our electricity. Historically, however, electricity has always been produced centrally and transmitted to the end user, leaving the job of this implementation hinged on one solution, top-down, which has led to slow progress. Bottom-up solutions remain inaccessible, unaffordable, and largely people at an individual level remain unaware of its social and economic benefits. In India, if every household used solar panels to procure its electricity, then we would cut down power sector emissions by 24%. Currently, we have tapped 6/100 of this potential. That is 0.006%. How can we break this wall? Solar as a service. Customers of solar as a service, instead of actually having to purchase a solar PV system upfront, enter a subscription-based model in which they would be paying for every unit of electricity generated by the solar panels. They would do this on a one-stop digital platform where, apart from paying their bills, they would be able to unsubscribe from the service, track the performance of the panels, and also request maintenance services. Providing solar as a service instead of a product eliminates two key barriers. One, affordability. A 1 kilowatt solar PV system, which is enough to power a household of 4, currently costs 75,000 Indian rupees, whereas the average Indian household income is only 20,000. Therefore, making the solution affordable for millions of more households than otherwise would be possible. Second, accessibility. By creating a digital platform leveraging the benefits of IoT, smart satellite imaging systems, and also predictive analytics, we provide ease of access to the solution and also potentially increase speed of implementation. If every household in India was a customer of off-carbon, the amount of carbon reductions we would achieve every year would be equal to replanting 0.37 million hectares of the Amazonian rainforest every year. In the words of Jordan Peterson, there are some games you don't get to play unless you go all in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Praveen. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome here on stage.
Yeah.
Now we'll give the room to some jury questions. Rooftop first.
Hi, Praveen. Thanks for the presentation. Very well done. One question I had, like, how can every house in India have a solar panel if they don't have a roof? Like there are cities that have only apartment buildings and they don't have a roof space.
True. This was the statement was made considering urban households with concrete rooftops or rooftops where you can put these solar panels. But of course, there are these implementations where you can also use the wall to put solar panels. So even if they don't have a rooftop, at least they have a wall, hopefully, and we can put these solar panels also there. So
Have
this number was.
Have you implemented a wall panel yet?
No, we haven't implemented a wall-based panel ourselves, not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rushab. Thank you, Praveen. Do you have other questions, Gerhard? And
yes, Praveen, thanks for your very, very clear presentation. One of the questions, so I'm having a household in India, then I can order one of these solar panels or a set of solar panels.
Yes.
And do I have a smartphone?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody has one. That's no normal kind of thing. Okay, and then do I have to pay for this, or do I just allow them to put it on my roof and I'm fine?
Everything until actually consuming the electricity, it's just like paying for your electricity bills at the end of every month, just that now your supplier is off carbon instead of the utility that you get power from. That's the only difference.
So I don't have to invest anything?
Nothing, zero.
I just have to say yes, and then they'll come by, they'll put it on my roof, connect it to my electricity needs.
They as in us, yes, correct, that's right.
They as in you, and that's working from a cost side, from a cost perspective.
From a cost perspective, it is. So if you want me to elaborate a bit, so in India, the average electricity prices range from 9 to 11 rupees. And what we can provide is a discount on that, which is basically 7 or 8 rupees. That makes a payback for our investors at around 5 to 6 years, because the capex obviously has to come from somewhere if the customer is not paying for it. And of course, if you include a battery system, this goes up. But the main incentive for a consumer is that in face of rising electricity prices, you get something which is cheaper and more sustainable, and also more predictable.
And it's not connected to any grid. It's just connected to this specific household.
No, it's connected to the grid.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Gerhard. Hester, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, first I had the same question about cost, but you explained it very well that there's no entry cost, so to say. But you then have a huge amount of power, but mostly the times that people are actually using the power might not be the same as when the solar panels are getting the power. So have you thought about that? Because I think that's a sort of a problem as well.
True. So first of all, that question is extremely correct. But in India, for example, there are also households where the family members do stay at home. So you have these joint families. So people, not all the people in the house go to work. That's one. And second one, we have thought about putting batteries. But you can imagine if we put in batteries, the cost of the average tariff price that we charge obviously goes up the same amount. But the battery costs haven't fallen as rapidly as solar panel costs have. But we expect that in a few years or a year and a half or 2 years from now, given that China's entry into the market, these costs will also drop rapidly, which means that we can also think about this and make that a solution. So actually take it off grid, like Kurt mentioned before. Instead of having it on grid, we will have it off grid. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hester. Praveen, last question from the jury. Please be brief, but you did already. Why also Hina want to one? Hina.
Yes, I know that there are a lot of office buildings in India. Is it also possible to place the solar panels there and to have kind of a subscription on solar energy then?
Yes, also for corporate and commercial buildings, this is possible. But the whole idea was to do this for residential, because there we see that the speed of implementation is much slower than the commercial and industrial spaces where the incentives already exist for them to switch. But it is also possible to do the same subscription model for office buildings.
Yeah, but I mean that you place the solar panels on the office buildings, and as a private person, you have a subscription on the energy coming from there.
Yes, these models already exist, which is sharing rooftop space. Actually, it happens the other way around, that corporates use rooftops of residential households. But this is not the business model we're aiming for. But of course, this could be a possibility if you look at it as a business model. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hina, for your question. Thank you, Praveen, for your project and your answer. They were really clear. And now we are taking our time for a break, 15 minutes. So we will be back at 5:30. Thank you very much. See you later.
What was impossible yesterday can today be a given. It seems like the world is moving faster and faster. So much has changed, yet there's still so much to do. But is change always better? What is possible? How do we define progress? And how do we find the answers in these times of rapid change? Take a look at the world through our eyes, and you will see. We are TNO, a Dutch institute of independent researchers. Our innovations have touched you and the world around you since 1932. It is our mission to provide the right answers and ask the right questions. By combining disciplines and domains, we can tackle any question, however complex. Our thinking never stops. What works, what is needed, and what can be improved. Look through our eyes and you see a future where mobility is safer, smarter, cleaner, where all our energy is generated from sustainable sources, where objects think and people digitize. See the future through our eyes and see a circular economy, industry that innovates, a future in which streets are safe and feel safe, where there is space to breathe, where we can grow up and old together. Because with every innovation, we contribute to a better tomorrow. Take a look at the world through the eyes of TNO and envision the future.
Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to everyone. I hope you enjoyed this nice video from TNO explaining what they do as much as I do, because it's really nice, my personal opinion. I hope you enjoyed also the network session. You had like some time in rooms to find out random people and talk with them probably, and you had also a break to take a coffee. Now we will briefly go through the next 4 presenters. So we will start with the first one. This is our 11th presentation from Sara Elizabeth Ovalle Melo with the project Breaking the Wall of Coronavirus Exposure.
Hello, I'm Sara Ovalle, Environmental Administrator of the Francisco C. de Caldas District University. I have worked in renewable energy projects and entrepreneurship and management systems and co-founder Hearthstone SIS. So we are talking about breaking the wall of coronavirus exposure. Currently, we are all facing up the problem of the coronavirus COVID-19 as a global concern. For each, it requires alternative disinfection strategies that are effective and that allow the care of the human health. Ineffective methods of surfaces disinfection have been implemented, such as spray or nebulization, on which the World Health Organization and governmental entities such as the American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists and different governments had rejected its use due to its impacts on environment and the human health when using direct chemicals on the skin and mucous membranes. So it is corrosive effects, it is damage on the health, and the solution is in order to adapt a new normal. It is important to implement control over people's exposure for the coronavirus, especially in the contact with surfaces. The use of UV light it's proposed to disinfect spaces. In moments of absence, it's a barrier strategy. So, manual cleaning and disinfection are very limited when there are many surfaces to disinfect. Ultraviolet germicidal irradiation is a chemical-free disinfection method that use short wavelength light to kill or inactive microorganisms by altering their DNA.
Welcome back. Thank you very much, Sarah. Welcome on stage. Can you hear me? Can I hear you? Probably. Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Loud and clear. Thank you very much. Do we have questions from the jury for you? Please, jury, feel free to ask questions to Sarah. So we have Hester. Please go on.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah, for presenting this very exciting idea. So can you tell us a bit about what you've thought about the harms to the eyes of these type of lights and how to also protect people from eye damage?
Of course. It is absence. A program assess programming ignition during the night or outside the work. So as it is no presential system, it doesn't represent a risk for human health or environment. So we can use the light system when there's no people.
So Sarah, hi, this is Good Hands. Thanks for your presentation. So who is operating this? Or is it done by robots?
It is it is a system or installation the light internal lighting. It is a switch on off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have heard about the technology, but as far as I know, you have to have the light really close to the surface. Right?
Can you repeat me again, please?
To make it work, you have to have the light very close to the surface.
No. This is I need necessary. It is the important is a big space and the light as have a big coverage. So we have many lightings with the wall, roof. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gert Hans. Thank you, Sarah. I think we don't have any more questions from the jury. So thank you very much for your time. I hope the jury had the time to write down their thoughts about your project. And we will go to the next pitch. The next one is from Sofia Fonda, and she is breaking the wall of shame.
Hello everyone. I'm here today to present you my project about breaking the wall of shame. My name is Sofia Fonda, and just like many other people in this planet, I have my period every month. A couple of years ago, I started using the menstrual cup. Now imagine if every woman you know will start using it. It costs around 20 euros and it will last for 10 years, saving around 300 grams of non-recyclable waste every month. And you can wear it for up to 12 hours without even feeling it. The only problem? You have to clean it with running water. So how is it possible to do it in an average public toilet? As a designer, I made a research and I found that the number of users is growing, but they are ashamed of cleaning the cup in public. I came up with this solution. I could introduce dispensers with the proper intimate soap in the common room and switchable reserved signs inside each toilet cubicle to keep it occupied while the woman is cleaning her cup. In this way, cleaning the menstrual cup in public would be legitimized and become something acceptable. Let's normalize the menstrual cup, and let's make menstruation something not to be ashamed of. Thank you.
Thank you, Sofia. Hello. Welcome on stage with us. Can you hear me? Perfect. Yes. Perfect. So let's give some space to our jury member for questions for you. Do we have questions? Yes, Stefania. Yes, please.
Hi, Sofia. Thank you very much. Amazing idea. But how do you plan to owners of businesses, for example, where typically men adopt it if they don't get a problem at all?
So, sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
So how can you get basically people who have run an establishment like a restaurant or other places where there are public toilets adopt your solution when most decision makers in this case are anyway men?
Okay, so when I was thinking about how to present this idea to men, they suggested to me, you should point at the fact that every man has a woman next to him. So maybe if you say your wife would be like better with this way, or like pointing at the woman next to them. Or the other idea, which is more business wise, it would be if I would put up a startup. I already had a plan in which basically the installation of the products would be for free for the public building. And there would be, we would earn money through the installation also of a distributing machine selling menstrual cup. Because during my research on the topic, I found that most women, like many women, know about the menstrual cup maybes, but they don't switch because they are not sold usually in the places where other menstruation methods are sold. So that would be a more practical solution. And the other one, or, either the idea can be bought by a company that already produces such things for the public toilets, for example. And in that case, thank you for the question.
For your question. Thank you, Sofia, for your answer. Next question from the jury, from Rooftop. Yes, please.
Hey, Sophia, thank you so much for your presentation. Really good idea. And I would say, like, my girlfriend also uses this cup, and she did mention that this is something that she does go through to use this in her office or not. So if I get your idea clearly, it's you need a sink, and this is going to be just the thing that dispenses soap, or what does it dispense exactly? Is it like a alcohol that it dispenses to sanitize it, or what?
So yeah, I mean, for me that I'm Italian, it's pretty easy to imagine intimate soap because we have the bidet to wash our intimate parts. So it's basically it's just a soap that it's has the pH in like the proper pH to clean intimate parts. So that would be it. But you were also asking me about the sink.
Like, yeah, how do you install it? Like, do you have to install a bidet as well, or does it have only a thing on the wall?
So it would be only on the wall in my idea, because, for example, some public toilets already have sinks inside the toilet cubicle. So in that case, of course, this would not really be needed. But I was focusing on having this accessible for all the public toilets, and most of them are like this, with the sink outside. Yeah. So in my experience, the girls can remove the cup and clean themselves, then go out and without having such a damage, you know what I mean, with the bloody stuff.
Yeah.
So they can have the time to clean it and come back in the cubicle. Yeah. This was what I found in my research. Of course, some girls already do it even without this, but there is this shame of
of course
doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Thank you, Sophia. We have one last question from the audience. So why do I have to clean it if it lasts for up to 12 hours?
Yeah, so of course it makes sense. It can last for up to 12 hours, but it also depends by your, the quantity of blood you're losing. So it depends on that. And also, since the cup is so sport friendly, so for people that do sports a lot, for example, imagine a student girl that is going to the faculty. Okay, now Corona times, it's a bit different, but you stay maybe 8 hours in the faculty and then you want to go to do some sports. In that case, you really don't want to risk any damages. So and it just happens that sometimes or even the girl just wants to check, it's not like with the other methods that you can see how much you can still wait, Yeah. So in a situation like this,
really clear.
It would be necessary.
Definitely. Okay, thank you very much. I think it was a clear answer. So, Michael, I hope you got your answer. Thank you very much, Sophia, for your time and for your project. Now, I hope the jury is catching up, writing down the votes, what they think about your project. It's always, I think something really complex to do. So give them another couple of seconds or minutes, no. But we need to hurry up a bit. So we want to go for the next presentation from Tarun Saini, Breaking the Wall of Dirty Hands.
A very good evening to all. According to a research published by daily.co.uk, 88% of the people fail to wash their hands before eating. Let's think of it. How many of people wash or clean their hands before eating in a restaurant? It is estimated by WHO that 1.4 million people get infected every year through spread of infections via hands. The second problem that triggered my mind to focus on the hand hygiene was back in March 2020, the start of the pandemic COVID-19. Yes, we are still facing the pandemic and people have already started visiting their offices, banks and hospitals. So here is a big chance of spreading or transfer of the virus from infected person to a healthy person by touching an infected object. So here we break the wall of transferring the virus or germs via hands. A contactless hand sanitizing machine that aims to kill 99.9% of germs and viruses by cleansing hands of the people. The machine is fully automated and works on the principle of IR sensing. The use of the machine would be in offices, banks, hospitals, restaurants, educational institutes, etc. This will prevent the transfer of virus and our community will be less vulnerable to this COVID-19. The machine aims to solve the problem and clean each hand at the rate of Indian rupees 1 or 1/74th part of US dollar. At this cost, it is the cheapest solution available in the market. I have been working on the prototype for 3 months and now I have come up with 2 models. Number 1, bulk sanitizing capacity model, and number 2, household or mini machine. I have attached a picture of the prototype in the slide. Go and please give it a watch. Now, the bigger model have the capacity of sanitizing 3000 hands in one refill, and the smaller one aims to sanitize up to 800 hands in one go. The bigger model have the capacity of sanitizing 3000 hands in one refill, and the smaller one aims to clean up to 800 hands in one go. The machine will use isopropyl and ethyl alcohol as a cleansing agent, and we will use alcohol to kill the germs and viruses on the hands. We will fight together with this pandemic and recover from it strong. However, this product will keep on serving the mankind and break the walls of dirty hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tarun. Thank you very much for your presentation and your video, and welcome on stage.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Please, let's give some room to our jury member. So first we have Gert Hans. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Andrea. Thanks, Tarun, for your presentation. First, a little tip. If you have a prototype, show it. always do.
Sir, I have mentioned it in my slide. I have sent the picture in my slide. Or if I could share screen, or I
Okay.
can show you it in my phone. I have pictures in my phone.
Oh, okay, but that's a little tip. But next question is, I have seen a lot of these devices already, and I've used them. So what's making yours different from the competition?
Sir, actually, let me compare this situation with another situation. Back in 2010, when the water purifying industry was under development. So this is the sanitizing industry is also under development. According to a research published by healthcare.co.uk, the sanitizer industry aims to grow by 100% in upcoming 5 years. Now the industry stands on 50 to 60 crore per year, but by 2025 it will grow to around 5,000 to 6,000 crore rupees. And why my initiative is different? The product, if we start manufacturing the product will come up with 1 year manufacturer warranty. You don't have to think of like if we install this product or we have to take care of this all our lifetime. The company will handle all of the situations. And second thing, we don't have to think like, oh, we entered a restaurant, we should sanitize our hands. If this machine is already installed on gates, just we enter in the restaurant, it just take 2 seconds to clean our hands and we are good to go.
Okay, but that's what the competition also does, right? There's all of kinds of restaurants where I enter. There is these, let's say, these devices. So that's not the difference. Yeah. But it's some sort of lease and warranty construction that you're suggesting.
Sir, in India, we don't have any much good solution. Like we don't even have a patent of the machine. And India is the 7th largest country in the world, and hope to expand here soon if this works.
Thank you very much, Gerthans. Thank you, Tarun, for your answer. I hope that Gerthans got the answer he wanted. Do we have another jury member question? Yes, from Hester. Please go ahead.
Now, sorry, I thought you were closing off, so I was actually giving a wave to Tarun, and thank you for your presentation.
Okay, no, don't worry. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tarun. We are going with the I hope the jury member managed to write down their ideas about this project, and we're going for the last pitch of today from Trey Craney. The project is about breaking the wall of wildfire firefighting technology.
Hello, my name is Trey Craney, and today I'm going to be talking about breaking the wall of wildfire fighting technology. First off, we need to jump into the problem that we're facing. So as you can see in the top left, there's a photo from the 2018 California wildfires. These wildfires destroyed 1.975 million acres of land. In the middle, you can see the 2019 Australian bushfires. These fires destroyed almost 40 million acres of land. In the top right, you can see currently the 2020 wildfires on the west coast of the United States. Already, these fires have destroyed 5 million acres of land. As you can see, wildfires are only getting worse. Year after year, they increase in damage. And with this increase of damage comes a rise in costs. So currently, $2.9 billion is spent annually fighting wildfires. These fires cause almost $400 billion in damages every single year. And in California alone, the state that I'm from, 4.5 million homes are at high or extreme risk of destruction. These numbers are only rising as wildfires increase in danger. And in order to address this increase of damage and danger from wildfires, we need to look at the technology that's used to fight them. So the current technology that's generally used to fight wildfires is aircraft-based suppression systems. So these aircraft-based suppression systems are effectively aircraft that carry a mixture of water and fire suppressants and dump that mixture onto wildfires directly in order to slow or completely put out wildfires. This works great. These aircraft are actually really good at what they do. It's a well-designed system. It works well. The only issue is that in the United States, only 23 of these aircraft are licensed to do this job. And it's extremely pricey. It's extremely expensive to run these aircraft. And with such a low number of aircraft, it's impossible to cover the amount of territory that is necessary in order to effectively fight these fires. As a solution to this problem, I'm presenting the M890 Fire. This device is a long-range, man-portable wildfire suppression system designed to supplement traditional aircraft-based firefighting. How this device works is it's similar to how a military mortar system operates. It launches from a standard military mortar tube, but instead of holding a high explosive charge, it holds a mixture of compressed CO2 and fire retardant foaming material. Using readily available surplus military equipment, it is possible to fire 20 to 30 of these M890s per minute. With multiple teams launching in tandem, this fire suppression system can help stop or control a rapidly moving fire line. Each M890 has an effective range of 2.5 kilometers, carries 185 grams of compressed CO2, and it weighs about 0.75 kilograms per unit. Using this technology, it's possible to repurpose tools of war in order to fight the growing threat of wildfires.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trey, and welcome on stage with us. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, maybe there's a bit of delay. Let's try to handle this. Let's please give some room to our jury member for questions now. We have Rooftop.
Yeah.
First.
So yeah, my
Then
question was how comparatively how cheaper is it to the existing system, and how effective is it?
All right. So in order to, the difficulty is a single aircraft can do the job of, say, 200 of these mortars in a single action. And each mortar costs around $14 to manufacture. They sell for around $18 to $20 a piece. But the main issue is that while you can steadily provide these mortars, the aircraft take up to 6 hours per load that they drop. So it's kind of a cost-benefit situation. Like they probably have a similar cost overall once you launch enough units, but the availability of aircraft is a big issue.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Rooftop, for your question. And please, Gertans, or Rogier first, and then Gertans.
Rogier first. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned all these numbers, so I think you have the numbers right. You know what you're doing. But help me as a non-expert. How many of these mortars are needed instead of one dump of water by such a helicopter, just to make these numbers comparable?
Yeah. I'll try and do a comparison. Just keep in mind that it is all relative depending on the types of fires, because some fires are more susceptible to top-down suppression, and some are more susceptible to bottom-up, which is what these mortar systems do. So each of these mortars cover, in say like a grassland fire, I'd be confident saying they can extinguish or put to smolder around 100 square feet of land. Sorry, I know I'm from the US. I wish I had done that conversion in my head ahead of time. But where with an aircraft they carry around 50,000 gallons of water, and I would say they probably can put out probably 800 square feet of territory in a single dump, maybe more depending on the situation. They also put out to extinction entirely, where with the mortar it usually gets it to smolder, which is important in suppressing the overall temperature of the fire. And for when it comes to controlling a fire line, that's what's important, is stopping the fire from jumping. So it's usually this mortar is used as a tool to supplement the aircraft, in the sense that you can control how a fire spreads, and you can control where the fire spreads, especially for hard to reach wildfires, like up in hills or mountainous regions, that type of thing.
Clear. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, Trey, thanks for your presentation. Interesting idea. To what extent did you prototype it or test it?
So I've actually done a lot of not functional prototypes, as in I've been working on the aerodynamics of the mortar and the trigger mechanisms behind it. Actually, one of the main reasons why I entered in this competition was to get funding to actually build a full-scale metal versions, because I've been mostly working with 3D printed conceptual designs. And sorry, I don't have a trigger mechanism on it, but I've been ordering and designing PCBs for that purpose. The advantage to this is a lot of the technology behind the system it's not new. I'm effectively repurposing ideas from the 1940s for a completely different system. Like it's uses the same equipment, but instead of warfare, it's effectively trying to fight a climate like catastrophe, right? So the thought and like methodology behind the design is very similar to how military mortars work.
Okay, but the load is different, right?
The load is different, and it has no explosive components in the actual mortar, because generally they have like firing caps and then secondary trigger mechanisms. But in this, it's entirely spring-loaded, and it's effectively powered by like a turbine-based capacitor bank inside the mortar.
Cool. Thank you.
Rusha, please, last question.
Yeah, one question I had is about the circularity aspect of it. If you are gonna have thousands of these deployed in a wildfire, what do you do with the shells that remain still in the wild? Do you think about retrieving them? Is that cost also included?
So it is feasible to retrieve these shells. They are like most of the components are reusable in the shell, not all of them, obviously, because there is some basic electronics that can't function at that temperature. But one of the concepts I was working with was actually having a retrieval program similar to how like recycling cans work, where you like it's included as a base part of the cost, where if you recover one, you turn it into a standard recycling facility, you get a kickback.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rusha, for your question. Trey, thank you very much for your exhaustive explanation. I think all the jury members made their mind up to your project. So again, thank you very much. Now we're a bit late and voting time is now. So we're about to send the email for your unique voting link. And then please stay connected because now we are showing you the pitch of last year presenter, so Rusha Chedda, our former winner of our Falling Walls Lab 2019. And meanwhile, we will start to manage the voting committee and understand who is the winner of this edition. And please go on voting your best pitch audience because the prize are waiting for this. So see you in 15 minutes, but first watch the video from Rusha's presentation about breaking the walls of recycled plastic and affordable housing.
One of the biggest challenges facing climate change and global poverty is indifference. I'm an architect from Mumbai, a city of over 24 million people, and around half of Mumbai's population currently lives in slums. Unfortunately, these unsafe houses and poor living conditions are the only affordable option for 1 billion people worldwide today. And we could see this number rise to 2 billion by the end of 2050. Another issue that poses a threat to almost everyone on this planet is our waste plastic problem. And to give you guys the big picture, out of all the plastic that has ever been produced since the 1950s, 79% of it has either been landfilled or has leaked into our environments. And that's 5 billion tons, and that's 700,000 Eiffel Towers by weight. And with our annual plastic production expected to grow to almost 3 times the current rate by 2050, it's only getting worse. What if I told you that we could break the walls of affordable housing and waste plastic with a single localized solution that has a high social, economic, and ecological impact? The project that I have been working on is called Unibrick. And the idea is to recycle local waste plastic to create interlocking building blocks like giant blocks of Lego to empower communities worldwide to build their own houses. These blocks can be simply stacked together in different ways to make an entire house. And the walls are locked in place using an anchor tie-down system, which basically means putting rods to the entire wall at regular intervals and bolting them at each end. This system provides some flexibility to the structure, also improving its resistance to earthquakes. Mumbai, like cities in most developing countries, has a thriving army of local informal waste recyclers who collect, sort, and sell all types of recyclables. And these recyclers are a very vital part of the local waste management system. So the strategy would be to create a decentral circular system where, with the help of these recyclers, we could collect the plastic from source, which can then be used to locally produce these bricks. These bricks can be made fire-resistant, UV-resistant, and can be made strong enough to build at least 3 floors high. A family of 4 adults can build a house of 50 meters square within a few weeks using the system, recycling approximately 6 tons of waste plastic and saving up to 30% in construction costs. And while most architects happen to work for the richest 1% of the population, I think it's time to focus on the other 99%. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to have you back. It was a long and difficult committee discussion we had. So first of all, let me say a couple of words. I want to. We got a lot of participation requests. We had a lot of viewers still on. And first, I want to announce what is the winner prizes. So it was a tough day of discussion, and I want to recap about this. First, we will talk about the category of audience choice. So our audience is important for our event, so they made up a lot of votes, and we will announce who will win this prize money of 100 euros. So 2 people of our presenter will win this audience choice award. And then there is the category of the jury's choice, and will be the official winner of the Falling Walls Lab Delft 2020. This person will be granted a money prize of 300 euro and with the access to participate in the Berlin Finale remote event and the direct coaching and help from Falling Walls Lab Delft organization to be prepared for that date. Now I want to add something, last but not least, one, let's say, surprise prize. So due to unprecedented events, we have been allowed to send to the Berlin Finale not only the first winner from the jury, but also the second. So the second will win the everything as like the first, but not the money prize, unluckily. So this means that we will have 2 people from Delft going to Berlin and bringing up our name. So let's start with the audience choice. And the prizes from the audience go to Adelaida Gutiérrez and Pablo Campolucci. So really, thanks for your participation. It was nice. We will reach you later today and these days to announce like the way we'll manage the prizes. And now, please welcome on stage Rogier Verberg from TNO, that is the chair of our jury members and will be announcing our jury winners.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you to all the contributors. We have had beautiful pitches, and in our jury, fortunately, we had quite some different expertises together, so we could discuss technology and societal and environmental aspects of your pitches, and quite a few are of really good quality. So we had the luxury of choosing one from a good set of candidates. Third place is in the category of, and that's not a surprise, on climate change or fighting climate change. And an important aspect thereof is presented here, a potential solution for the energy consumption in certain areas specifically. Third place is for Praveen Sridharan with Breaking the Wall of Climate Change and Rooftop Solar.
Round of applause. Thank you very much for your project. We want to.
Yeah, and then we continue to with the second place. An interesting way to address a well-known challenge solved by new technologies, which is not a new technology, as he stated himself. It is Trey Craney by breaking the wall of wildfire firefighting technology.
Crazy. Really nice. Congratulations. Really nice project. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rogier.
And now,
first one.
The biggest moment, the #1 prize. We thought it is an intriguing solution for some challenge that everybody is aware of, though too little focus is on it. And you don't always have to have the most complex technology to solve something with this importance. The winner of the Falling Walls Lab Delft is Sophia Fonding with Breaking the Wall of Shame.
Congratulations, Sophia, and congratulations, Tracy. We try to get them on stage with us. Which video? Sophia, are you in? Too much of emotion. Okay, we have you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I have to say, I did not expect this. There were so many nice projects.
Yeah.
Picture. Thank you very much. This was really nice. We appreciate it. It was really tough for the jury to decide which one was the winner, but your project found out to be more interesting, innovating in this sense. But it was really a big fight. I heard that difficult fight which one had to win. But congratulations, really. Let's smile to take a screenshot of ourselves. So we cannot have the official picture all together physically, so at least we can smile here on camera. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rogier. Yeah, also Trey. Thank you. Congratulations, Trey.
Congratulations.
There you are. Hi.
Much.
Everyone appreciated the project too. Thank you very much. So we take another screenshot of everyone again. Nice. Thank you very much, really. Thank you, Rogier, for your time, for being the chair of this amazing jury. I would like to thank the jury members for all the efforts. I know that it's something really tiring and stressful because it's really difficult to follow this project, really pitch, evaluate them, and write down and remember all the details, and also in many categories where you're not in. Please.
Yeah, just a suggestion for Sophia for her final presentation. I think the presentation was clear, but you need to also kind of express the facts about what other impacts can your solution have. You're trying to make it easier for people to use the cups. So what other impact can that have? For example, reducing the use of the use and throw menstruation pads. That can be something like you have to think about what else can you speak about the project that can create a larger impact, like the secondary impact and the third impact.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that in the pitch, but in a quick way, because I didn't want to get too long on the details. Like, I mean, it's not a detail, but compared to the main focus of the project, it was, but it is important as well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And maybe for Trey, I think it could be useful if you can showcase how your technology can be implemented on a global scale, rather than just giving examples of 2 Western nations.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely work on that. It's I focused on the US and Australia because that's where the biggest market shares are, to be honest.
Yeah. So. Of course.
Reasonable. Some other comments from the jury? Someone will try something, feel free. Otherwise, I will take the word. I will really like to thank everyone of you to remember. Thank to Mr. De Ruiders, Gertant Verguis, Rush Abjedda, Stefania Milan, Ina Dieselboom, and Rogier Verberg for your efforts and to be here and work for us to helping these guys to continue breaking the walls of the project and the problems that they're trying to solve. And then I would like to thank some other people and parts that made this happen today.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank TNO because TNO was with us since the beginning, before the pandemic struck, and they were supporting us. Then the pandemic came, everything changed, but they were still with us. They still like wanting to help us to make this done. So I would really like to thank them for these efforts, and obviously they are really the big part of what is the community that is thriving and it's growing here in Delft. Then I would like to thank Berkeley, that is our host today. So this is the platform that they helped us set up and gave us to make this work. It was interesting and also challenging for us to find new way to make this conference possible with the networking, with all this attendance. We had, I think, more than in total 200 people, maybe more. I need to see the stats, but watching, and up to 120 altogether simultaneously watching what we were doing here. So this is, I think, a really big goal we reached. And I also would like to thank Stoot, that is the association here in Delft for the student that supported us last year as the first supporter for our event, and now again they had some word and help into this to make this happen. I would also like to thank all the participants, because you are really the core of what Falling Walls is, all your projects, your efforts, what you do to make Falling Walls in general a thing. Thank you very much, and also thank you to try always to improve the world and change the thing around us to make them better. Obviously, I would like to kindly thank all the attendees we had, all these people connecting, watching us, spreading the word, trying to, let's say, make the community of Falling Walls something valuable. You are the core of it. And as last but not least, I want to thank the very heart of Falling Walls Lab Delft, that is my team, that it was behind the screen all the time. You will see them here, Dario, they are really valuable people. They worked really hard to make this happen. Thanks to Dario, we are a foundation now. Francesco took care of all the communication, graphic aspect of our team. Roberto was a valuable project manager that helped us make everything work and in order. And Carlos, here behind the stage, was the man that really managed all this complex word run well and kind of smoothly, to be honest, with all these people and all these attendees here. So thank you very much, all of you. And I would like, and I would like to know if you appreciated the event. So let's keep in contact, all the attendees to remember, and the participants. And I hope you enjoyed the day and you had fun, because I think also this is really an important part of our life. So thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon, maybe in person next time. And again, hope you have a really good day. Bye to everyone.
Andrea, well done.
Thanks.
Thanks, Andrea.
Good job.
Thank
you. You did a great job, Andrea.
And good luck to the finalists. Have fun there. Have a lot of fun there. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.